Howdy, guys, and welcome to Cliff Notes. Welcome to night 28 of the overnight feed recaps for Big Brother season 26, and welcome to Eviction night. Yes, another Thursday. Tonight on the block, we've got Rabina, Mackenzie, and Cedric. One of them is going to save themselves through the AI BB arena. Could be the last time we see that particular twist because we got a new one coming up. We still don't know what it is. I expect we'll find out tonight. But one of them will be saving themselves with that competition. The other two on the block, who goes home? I don't know. We've had some plans afoot. Cedric came in as a pawn. Is Cedric going to walk out the door as something more than a pawn? There is a possibility. We are going to talk about that. We certainly had some campaigning and such taking place. So we'll talk about all of that as part of the live feeds. Now, before that, one interesting little conversation we had yesterday, just from a logistics type thing with Big Brother. My assumption has been with this HOH deep fake that Quinn got to take over and make all the nominations and such, but that Angela was still officially the HOH. So my assumption was that meant Angela could not compete for the HOH competition tonight, that instead Quinn would be able to vote and compete. And yet now we've heard some conversations yesterday from Quinn that suggest that may not be the case. Quinn talked to a couple of people and said that he had talked to production in the diary room and that apparently he gets to compete, or he does not get to compete. He does not get to vote tonight, that Angela gets to vote and Angela gets to compete in HOH. Surprised me. I didn't expect that. And Quinn saying, yeah, kind of a shock to me. He wasn't expecting that either. I am guessing that's not the way it originally was envisioned, that the rules of the particulars of this twist may have changed a little bit over the past week based on who's on the block, who's fighting for survival, what's designed to create the most chaos or interest with the HOH competition, things like that. I'm just guessing. I don't know. But the end result is it does sound like actually Angela gets to compete in HOH and Quinn does not. Interesting. I hadn't planned on that. All right. We, as I mentioned, did have some campaigning last night amongst all three nominees. Cedric feeling so good at the start, maybe a little bit more nervous now and trying to fight for votes alongside Rabina and Mackenzie. Lots of discussion from the rest of the house about who are we going to vote for, looking at all the different scenarios and trying to figure it out. And also some new planning based on who wins the HOH, who should win the HOH. What are we going to do based on that? Is it time to flip? Yeah, as I mentioned, Cedric maybe not feeling as safe as he did originally. And if he knew some of the conversations that took place last night, he would feel even less secure because we're now into night 28, day about 30 or so. They've been in the house a month. Everyone's gotten their feet underneath them at this point in time, feeling more comfortable or maybe less comfortable with their positions in the game. So there's some people who are ready to make some shifts, make some change. Other people that may be willing to join them, or maybe they're just stringing them along. We don't know about that. So let's talk about the feeds last night, some of the conversations that took place. We'll start off with a fun bit of the evening. The house guests got outside food brought in. Why? I don't know. No clue why they brought in outside food. They debated a little bit what they were going to get. They eventually got barbecue. Sounds pretty good to me. I don't remember getting any barbecue during my season, but they got a little barbecue brought in, including deep fried Oreos and deep fried Twinkies for dessert. Now that is rodeo food. They even talked about, I don't remember if it was Mackenzie or not, talk about the rodeo and things like that. Houston rodeo, huge down here. That kind of, all they needed was turkey legs to go along with the rest of the food, and they would have been perfect. But yeah, they had food brought in for whatever reason. Enjoyed that. All right. Beyond the food, we did have some fairly important conversations taking place last night. Let's start off with Quinn and Joseph. Now, we had seen a few days earlier, 24 hours earlier, I suppose, Quinn had talked about the fact that he wanted to try to bring Joseph in to work with Quinn and Tucker and Chemo and T-Core. And as part of that, he had talked about maybe letting Joseph know about the Pentagon, the core group that's part of the Collective Alliance, as a way of letting Joseph know that he's not part of that core group. Well, it happened last night. Quinn eventually did tell Joseph about the Pentagon, that it exists, Again, it's a way to make Joseph feel not as comfortable about the collective as an alliance, as a way to bring him a little closer to Quinn, a little bit closer to this other group. Now, we already know Quinn's already told us that he's not really going to be working with Tucker, but he is working with T-Core and Chemo, which is part of this Visionaries Alliance. So many alliances out there. But he did tell Joseph about the Pentagon as a way to keep him a little bit closer. Joseph and Quinn spend a lot of time patting each other on the back for being such huge super fans and the way they're playing the game, this and that, and everything. It was interesting at one point, they mentioned that the worst case scenario would be if the two of them ended up on the block together. They don't want that. And as part of that, the conversation then devolved into some discussion about Leah. There's been all this talk about Quinn having this crush on Leah. She's irritated by it, this and that. Quinn is suggesting, saying, everyone keeps saying I'm in love with her. I'm not. That's just the way I flirt with her a little bit. And implying in his conversation with Joseph that maybe his flirting and him letting everyone think there's this huge connection between him and Leah is a little bit of a strategy. That maybe it's done so that Tucker would put up Leah next to Quinn instead of someone like, say, Joseph. And at the end of the day, Quinn basically implying, suggesting that maybe he doesn't care as much about Leah as people think. So if he's on the block with her, well, whatever. Again, we'll see. Is that really strategy, or is it just Quinn covering his bases and everything? I have a feeling if there was a showmatch potential, Quinn would have pursued it with Leah. But now that maybe isn't the case, maybe he's distancing himself a little bit and looking at it from a strategy standpoint. But we did have that conversation taking place. All right. We had Tucker and Cedric talking to each other. Tucker, who wins everything, is still trying to cover his bases as much as possible. Tucker is telling Cedric, saying, look, if you're up on the block against Mackenzie, you're going to survive. I think Mackenzie goes home against you. You should be good, Cedric. He says, against Rabina, it's a little bit iffy, Cedric. I think if you do what you have to do, you'd be good. But I'm not saying it's a slam dunk if she's up on the block instead of you being up on the block against Mackenzie. Tucker is talking about trying to squash the beef between him and Cedric. He even says at one point, says, if you did tell me, I don't remember you telling me not to use a veto. I just remember you saying you didn't have the votes. But if you did tell me, it's water under the bridge at this point, Cedric. If we could squash the beef between us, that would be fantastic. And Cedric saying, yeah, I'd love to get your vote. I don't know if it's possible, but I'd love to get your vote. What could we do to make some of this happen to start working together again? Well, Tucker's got a very specific idea about how that could happen. He mentions to Cedric that maybe if it is a wall competition or whatever competition, but he's talking specifically about the wall, says maybe if it's just you and me up there at the end, and I don't know, if maybe you threw the competition to me at that point to let me be HOH, and I'm going to need to put someone up there. We can maintain in public that we still have a beef. I could put you up, but obviously it would be just as a pawn. I've got bigger targets than you, Cedric. You're not my big one. So if you're willing to throw the HOH competition and maybe realize that you're going to be a pawn, that would go a long way towards showing me that you want to work together. And I would certainly keep that in mind. And if we need to put up a third person as well, then obviously I would work with you and put up who you wanted to put up to ensure your success, your ability to survive and all. I'd work with you if you're willing to work with me. So Tucker has thrown out this plan to Cedric of ways that they can start working together, which involves Cedric making a whole lot of sacrifices going forward. Later, Cedric and Cam are talking to each other. I think they're in the Have Not room. I don't remember, but Cedric and Cam are talking to each other. They discover that Tucker basically asked the same thing of Cam, suggested to him also that if Cam was willing to throw the HOH to Tucker, Tucker would certainly keep that in consideration when it comes to putting people on the block and how to handle his HOH and all of that. As Cedric and Cam talk to each other about it and realize that Tucker's telling them both the same thing, I don't know if they were buying it ahead of time, but they're certainly not buying it now. They realize that maybe Tucker's playing him just a little bit, and I think he probably is. So they're realizing, maybe Tucker we can't work with him. I don't think Cedric or Cam, either one, will be throwing the HOH to Tucker this evening. Maybe. We'll see. Tucker's got quite the charisma about him, but at least for now, they are not buying that. All right, we've got Quinn and T-Core and Chemo talking in that rock bedroom. Now, every conversation that we talk about with T-Core and Chemo pretty much this entire evening takes place in that rock bedroom. Yes, the nominees are doing a lot of campaigning, but T-Core and Chemo wanted to have one-on-ones, not just with the nominees, but I think with every single person in this house to figure out how everyone is voting. They think they can use this opportunity to figure out the entire roadmap of how this house exists, who's in what alliances, who's voting for who. They really see this as an information gaining opportunity. I hope that if you figure it out, let me know T-Core and Chemo, because it gets a little confusing at times. But they want to have one-on-twos, because they've decided that they want to talk to everyone together. They want Chemo and T-Core sitting on the couch one at a time. The other people come in and have their conversations with them. These two are hanging out together so much. They are not targets right now. Everyone feels safe with T-Core and Chemo, but the more they hang out like this, the more official they make their duo-ship by doing these one-on-ones together and things like that. They're creating a target. People are going to reach a point where they know that these two are so tight, they're going to want to put them both up on the block together and do so. I just think they're spending too much time together, in my opinion. I think, because they certainly spend a lot of time together, but they start having some conversations. I won't cover all of them because they're a little bit repetitive, but I'll cover a few here and there. And the first one, Quinn in there talking to T-Core and Chemo. Gilmore's talking about how he's going to meet with Brooklyn a little bit later and find out what her thoughts are. Quinn is telling him, saying, look, when you talk to Brooklyn, be very gung-ho about the collective. She's not sure where y'all are at right now. If you go in saying, hey, what's the hierarchy? Where are we within the collective? And you seem suspicious about it, then Brooklyn's going to catch on to that. And we don't want that. So he says, when you go in there, just talk about how much you're gung-ho for the collective. Focus on why we should be keeping Rubina instead. Tell her how much y'all can influence Rubina. Try to convince Brooklyn and focus on that instead of the collective alliance and all of that. So Quinn's throwing out some suggestions on that. Chemo says, yeah, I get it, but I'm really worried about where we are within the collective. We're at the very bottom. I know that. And so he's still worried about that. T-Core is worried that Brooklyn, because remember, Brooklyn is in the Pentagon. She's also in the 5 Points Alliance, which is Rubina, Tucker, Chemo, T-Core, and Brooklyn. She's also in that group, and T-Core is worried that Brooklyn maybe is spilling the beans about 5 points to the collective alliance as well. So they've got their concerns about Brooklyn and with that other alliance both. Quinn at one point is talking about wanting to get these three into the diary room together. He thinks it'd be great to have a multiple person diary room. He's probably thinking back to Boogie and Dr. Will in a diary room together, doing some stuff. Quinn wants to do the same thing. He's saying, yeah, maybe at 4:00, they'll call me to the diary room. I'll just hold the door open. Y'all come running in and maybe we can do some stuff together and laugh and celebrate it, whatever. Quinn has a few things he wants to do while he's in the house, and that is one of them. All right, so he's talking about that. All right, Quinn is talking about this idea of bringing Tucker in. Chemo and T-Core have been pushing forever. Quinn, you need to work with Tucker. Tucker, you need to work with Quinn. Quinn is saying, if I'm going to do that, I really would rather bring Tucker in while I'm HOH, because if that's the case, then Tucker's going to know that I'm telling the truth. Whereas if Tucker's the HOH and I'm promising to work with him, he's not going to trust me. He's not going to really think that I'm with him. I'm just there to try to protect myself. But if I'm HOH, it's a little bit different situation. So he's thinking that now. If he can't compete in HOH this week because of what he was told in the diary room, that complicates that matter a little bit. But he's hoping maybe if he's in a position of power when he approaches Tucker, Tucker may believe him a little bit more. It doesn't matter. He doesn't want to work with Tucker. Tucker's not going to want to work with Quinn. They're just playing. They're just playing each other. All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo then eventually talking to Brooklyn. Brooklyn, a little non-committal, but Brooklyn said that Cam wants Rubina out. She's trying to put some other targets up there by pointing out Cam and saying, it seems like a lot of people want Rubina out. Cam, for example, Cam wants. I hope y'all understand that Cam's the one pushing this and all of that. We've got Brooklyn complaining a little bit later to Cam and T-Core and Chemo that Angela approached her about working together as a final two. We had that conversation. Angela approached Brooke and said, hey, I'm so sorry. We had that little argument about the HOH competition and me putting you up. And, you know, I know you're upset and I apologize, but let's get beyond that. Not only do I want to work with you, I want to go final two with you. And we're both moms. We could make this work. Well, now Brooklyn's immediately spilling the beans to Cam and Tucker, T-Core and Chemo, saying, how dare she? How could she even think that I want to work with her? So, yeah, Brooklyn's not over what Angela did to her last week at the HOH. All right, we've got Leah talking to Cedric. She's telling Cedric that she doesn't want him to go home, that they could benefit each other's game, that really having Cedric out the door doesn't help her at all. It seems to me that Leah's preferred target of everyone is probably MJ. But she's telling Cedric, yeah, we've got no problems. I want you to stay. I want to work with you. Hopefully I can help you. Hopefully you can help me as we go forward. We have Cedric. I mentioned he's campaigning. I mentioned he's feeling a little bit nervous, but he's talking to T-Core and Chemo at one point. I think Joseph's in there as well. And Cedric's saying, look, I think I got 5 or 6 votes locked in, regardless of how the scenario plays out. If I don't win AIBB Arena, if I'm on the block, I really think that I've got the votes to stay. Well, I'm not sure you may have them. I just don't know for certain just yet, Cedric, but he's feeling a little confident, at least when he talks to them. All right, we've got Tucker talking to Chemo in the shower. Let me rephrase. They're not both in the shower now. That would be some interesting video feeds, right? No, not that. Chemo is in the shower. I think he was up in the HOH shower. He's showering. Tucker comes in to talk to him. Tucker is saying, look, we got to trust each other. I hope you understand, Chemo. You and I, we have to trust each other. I think Chemo's certainly ready to be on board with anything that Tucker wants to propose. Tucker's saying, we've got to trust each other. He's saying, at some point, maybe we could bring in Angela and Leah and you and T-Core and myself. You know, maybe we can make something happen at this point in time, that we could make that work. He is, there's a little talk about Leah when he mentions bringing Leah in, and he says, look, Leah she just wants to be part of the house. Whatever the house does, she wants to be. She's a floater. We should be able to use her easy enough, which is why we could bring her in as well, just as a vote more than anything else. And Chemo's fine with that. All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo talking to Joseph. Joseph is talking, a lot of T-Core and Chemo conversations, right? Yeah, a lot of them. T-Core and Chemo and Joseph are talking. Joseph is talking about keeping Leah and Cam for as long as possible, that he thinks they would be a good shield for Chemo and Tucker, Chemo and Joseph and T-Core. He's saying if we keep Leah and Cam around, no sense to get rid of them real quick. They probably aren't going necessarily for us. We'll keep them around as a bit of a shield, let them do whatever they do, and when we need to, we can put them up, get them out, whatever. So he's thinking that hold on to them for as long as possible. They're all talking about Tucker, how much they like Tucker, how much they'd like to work with him going forward. They're also Joseph's also talking about how he wants to keep Quinn close. He has said that he does not trust Quinn. So Quinn trying to tell Joseph how to do all the stuff with the Pentagon and all of that. Well, Joseph's not really buying it. He does not trust Quinn, but he tells T-Core and Chemo he does want to keep Quinn close. He also says he wants to keep Rubina in the house because he feels like they could easily influence her and use her as well. He's hoping that MJ is still on the block so they can. He's hoping that MJ is still on the block tonight so that they can vote her out and not have to show their cards by choosing between Cedric and Rubina. So that's basically at the end of all that. That's Joseph's main thing is let's go for Mackenzie if there's any chance that she's on the block. If not, well, then we've got to see what we want to do. But hopefully Mackenzie's there, and if so, we'll vote her out. All right, we've got Tucker and Joseph talking a little bit. Tucker is telling Joseph that he's planning to put up Chelsea and Quinn and Brooklyn if he wins HOH. That's his game plan. Joseph, I was a little surprised that he was as forward with this as he was. He told Tucker, he said, look, don't mess with Quinn. Don't put Quinn up. Not because he's dangerous or anything else. He said, don't put Quinn up because the other side of the house is really not on board with Quinn. Quinn doesn't really have anyone right now. It says Quinn is nothing in this game. He's not doing anything. Yeah, I understand you got a beef with him. You want to put him up. He's saying, but I wouldn't even mess with Quinn. He's going to be out the door soon enough. There's probably other people you got to worry about more, Tucker. So yeah, just leave Quinn alone. I don't think it's going to work that way, Joseph. But he is fighting a fight for Quinn. All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo having some conversations just amongst themselves. They're still talking about flipping the house as early as this week, which means potentially sending Cedric out the door. They are worried about their position in the collective. Originally, they were going to wait another couple of weeks, but now that T-Core is worried that they may know about the 5 Points Alliance, she's possibly ready to push it up a little bit, flip the house at this point in time. They're upset. They're just worried they're being left out of the collective. No one's even pretending like they're decision makers within the collective. They're not. Their considerations, their desires aren't being considered. The collective is just making a decision and telling these two what that decision is and what they need to do in terms of voting. So they're fed up with the collective. They're counting in terms of flipping. They're counting on the two of them, T-Core and Chemo, along with Tucker and Mackenzie or Rabina, whoever is not on the block, along with Joseph and Quinn, if he can vote, which we don't know yet. Sounds like maybe not. But all of them then voting potentially Cedric out of the house. So again, you're talking T-Core and Chemo, 2 votes, Tucker's 3, Mackenzie's 4, Mackenzie or Rabina's 4, and then Joseph is 5. Even if Quinn can't vote, that gives them the 5 votes they need to control what happens in the vote tonight. That's what they're envisioning as a possibility. But they're worried that Chelsea or Brooklyn will then come after the two of them if either of those two were to win HOH, just in retribution for T-Core and Chemo leading this flip and everything else. So a little worried about Chelsea and Brooklyn, but they're also saying at least so we should have the numbers at that point in time. We're not going to be on the bottom of this new alliance, so it still seems like we're in a better position, and we'll just have to hope those two don't win HOH. And there's a lot of talk about, hey, if you wait too long to take your shot, you'll never get the chance to take your shot. We got to do it while the opportunity is there. Just them encouraging each other to be a little more risky. Even if there are some concerns, we got to be a little risky at this point in time. We'll see. We'll see what happens this evening. All right, there's talk about T-Core and Chemo and Brooklyn and talking about telling Brooklyn and Chelsea later in the evening about the flip as a way of approaching him, saying, look, this is going to happen. I'm sure they want to spin it the right way. This flip's going to happen. We just want to warn you because we don't want to have y'all blindsided, and a way to get them on board so that they don't put up T-Core and Chemo if either one of those two were to win it. If they tell Brooklyn and Chelsea, who's left? Who are they flipping on? It just seems like they keep bringing in more and more people. Cedric and Cam and Leah and Mackenzie, I suppose. No, Mackenzie's part of it as well. Leah and Cam and Cedric, I guess, who they want to flip on at this point in time. But they're talking about bringing in Chelsea and Brooklyn, at least letting them know if they decide to do the flip, letting them know ahead of time so they're not completely blindsided. Again, a lot of confusion, a lot of back and forth throughout the evening as they try to figure out how they can make this work. Chemo is also now wanting to talk to Tucker again about the Pentagon. Let Tucker know about that before he finds out elsewhere, so that there's no worries that they were hiding stuff from him. So there's talk about that. But T-Core is worried that if they do tell Tucker about this, that Tucker will then not keep that a secret, that Tucker will use that to go off on the other side, and then that exposes T-Core and Chemo. And so I don't know that they're going to tell Tucker about it anytime soon. All right, we've got Leah and Mackenzie talking. Mackenzie's counting votes if she's up in the she's counting votes if she's up against Cedric, I think, or Rabina, and saying if she's up against Rabina, it just doesn't look good. She's a little bit worried about that particular situation. And Leah's saying, oh, you got this, you got to do this and all that. Leah's cheering her on, telling her, don't get down. This is what you need to do, blah, blah, blah. I noticed she does not tell Mackenzie that she has her vote. She doesn't promise that at all. After Mackenzie basically says, "Well, I've got, Tucker. I think I've got Angela. I think I've got, I can't remember Joseph maybe." Anyway, she basically comes up with 4 votes. In other words, hint, hint, I need one more vote. Leah either does not recognize that's what MJ's hinting at, or she just chooses to ignore it. Because even though MJ thinks she's got 4 votes, needs one more, Leah does not give her any kind of idea that she's going to be the 5th vote for her, but she's still cheering her on. All right, we've got Chelsea and Brooklyn and Cam talking to each other. They're talking about voting out Rabina this evening over Mackenzie if those two are on the block, because of the belief that would then weaken Tucker if they get out Rabina, the whole narrative we've heard so far. So it sounds like they're still on board to send Rabina out the door over Mackenzie. A lot of the other house seems like they're going the opposite direction with it. Again, that's some of the uncertainty we'll see this evening. All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo talking to Leah at one point. Leah is saying that keeping Rabina over Mackenzie might be the best. So much for Mackenzie campaigning to Leah, because she goes right over here and says, maybe we need to keep Rabina, which T-Core and Chemo certainly want to hear. But Leah's saying more than anything else, she just wants to vote with the house. Hey, guy, whatever you hear, just let me know how everyone else is voting, because I want to make sure I'm with the majority. If that's Mackenzie, if that's Rabina, heck, if that whoever it is, just let me know, because I want to vote for the house. So we know where her motivation lies, or her how she wants to approach the game. All right, she doesn't know. Leah, a person without a whole lot of opinions that she's willing to offer up. She's asked who she would put up if she won HOH. She says, I don't know. I don't know who I would put up. She says, I think I'd have to make it a house consensus. I would just talk to everyone, one-on-ones with everyone. Whoever the house wants, that's who I'm putting up. So Leah does not want to have any reason to target her whatsoever. She doesn't want to be targeted because she didn't vote with the house. She doesn't want blood on her hands by putting someone on the block. If she wins HOH, she wants to blame it on the house. She's trying to keep herself distanced from any reason to go after Leah. She does mention that she doesn't trust Quinn. We know that she's not real happy with Quinn and his flirting and all of that. Leah's also saying that she thinks that Chelsea and Brooklyn and Cam have something going on. Well, yeah, they do. They're part of the Pentagon. They're kind of the inner group, the final 3 of the Pentagon, which is part of the collective. Leah has recognized that. And I think Chemo says, yeah, we're not part of it. Just don't think we're part of whatever you think's going on with those 3. All right, we've got Mackenzie campaigning to Cam. This was kind of her pitch to most of the people last night. She's saying, look, I'm a lone wolf. I'm by myself. I don't have anyone else to work with. I'm not hurting anybody else's game. She's saying I can be a number for anybody. If you save me, if you vote to keep me, I'm more than willing to work with you. So please keep that in mind. She's also saying that whoever she's talking to at the time, you're not my target. Unless she's talking to Angela, and then maybe it changed. But she's saying Angela is her target. If she was to win HOH, that's who she wants to put up and send out the door, because of that whole deal with Matt during week 1. She tells Cam, says, I wouldn't put you up. I have no reason to put you up. I'm going after Angela. So I'm no threat to your game. So why in the world would you send me out the door? All right, we've got T-Core and Chemo touching bases again a little bit. They're worried that the 2 of them could get put on the block together, and what they would do if that was the situation. They're saying they don't want Cedric or Rabina to leave yet. They feel like they can use both of them, which basically then leaves you with Mackenzie as their preferred target going on. Cam comes in, joins the conversation just a little bit into it. T-Core is saying that if Cedric is on the block, they'll vote to save Cedric. If not, then they'll save Rabina over Mackenzie. So that's the pecking order. Save Cedric, then Rabina, then Mackenzie. Now, they're saying this in front of Cam. Again, there's some talk about flipping and actually sending Cedric out, but they're not going to reveal that while Cam is in the house. So take that with a grain of salt that they're voting Cedric over Mackenzie or Rabina if it comes down to it. There's a long, drawn-out tea session while they're in here talking to Cam about Big Brother Junior High strikes again, because it's all about, we've got some tea on someone who likes you, Cam. And Cam said, well, who is it? We can't tell unless you give us some information about who you like. And okay. And pinky swear that I'll give you information. I'll give you tea if you give me tea. It lasts probably half an hour. And then going back and forth. Oh, you tell me first. No, you tell me first. Finally, it's revealed that that Chemo and T-Core have heard that that MJ McKenzie likes Cam. They won't even say her name. They said the girl from Spider-Man whose name was Mary Jo or something. Oh, that. So they're all hinting around and all that. Finally, they get the point across that Mackenzie likes Cam, and then a little bit later, as part of the pinky swear, Cam I think reveals to Chelsea, reveals to them that he kind of, if there's anyone he was crushing on in this house, it'd be Chelsea. And so giggle, let's gossip a little bit more. Not a lot of game talk, just a lot of tea being spilled. So God, that took forever. Now I don't know, they so they had all that. Later they tell Mackenzie that Cedric had told them that Mackenzie likes Cam. So they're kind of saying, oh, we heard from Cedric that you like Cam. I don't know what Chemo and T-Core are doing with this information, telling the different people. I don't know if they're trying to manufacture a showmance, or at least the perception of a showmance, so that they can then use that as a target a little bit on down the road, or it's just gossip. It's just them trying to have fun. I don't know which way, what's the motivation right now, but they've told Mackenzie that Cam likes, that they heard that she likes Cam, and they've told Cam that Mackenzie, some, yeah, just telling all kinds of people stuff last night. All right, we've got Angela talking to Tucker, touching bases. Angela tells Tucker about the collective. She says, hey, remember that big blow up? Well, that's because, Quinn and Joseph approached me and they said they had this thing called the collective, and just letting you know about it. I'm not sure that Angela even now understands that it really exists. And I'm not sure that Tucker realizes that it exists either, because of the way that Angela told him about it. It's way back in week 1 and all that. So I don't know if that's the case. Now, there's been talk, T-Core and Chemo wanting to tell Tucker about the collective, about the Pentagon. Well, they better hurry, because if they don't, someone else is going to spill the beans, as in Angela, who has just told Tucker. What this does mean, though, is if they do now tell Tucker that this thing exists, Tucker is going to get confirmation from 2 different groups, and I think it's going to really solidify his belief that absolutely there is this alliance on the other side. And then who knows what kind of hell is going to break loose. So that could be interesting. During this conversation, Tucker does tell Angela, saying, hey, this group you approaches last night, who was it? T-Core and Chemo and Tucker and Rabina. He says, you approached us about working together with us. He says, they're ready. I'm ready already. They're ready to work with you as well, Angela. We'd love to work with you and make something happen. Call it a group, call it a working relationship, call it an alliance, whatever. We want to work with you, Angela. They're all on board. Angela very excited about that. A little bit later, Angela is talking to Tucker again, but now we've got T-Core and Rubina both in the room also. They're agreeing to this new alliance, this new 5-person alliance, but they're not going to name it yet because Chemo isn't in the room. They want to have all 5 of them in there when they make it official. Yet another 5-person alliance, right? We were seeing tonight that it's going to take 5 votes to send someone out the door. So 5 is a new majority number. Everyone wants to have 5 people in their group. Well, here's yet another alliance. I should have a name a little bit later this tomorrow, next day for y'all on the new alliance with Angela, Tucker, Rabina, Chemo, and T-Core. We'll see if that thing has any legs underneath it. All right, we've got T-Core giving Rabina a huge inspirational pep talk up in the HOH, or up in the have not room, just saying, you got this. And we both, feel bad sometimes. I feel lost in this house, and we're introverts and all that, but you just got to get there, and you've got to be confident, and rah, boom, bah. You got to go win this thing, Rabina. So it's sincere. I mean, T-Core wants Rabina to win this thing, pull herself off the block. They do not want Rabina and Cedric on the block together. They want to make sure that MJ McKenzie is still on the block. So T-Core doing everything she can to get Rabina ready to go for tonight's AIBB Arena competition. All right, finally, we've got Quinn talking to the cameras, saying that he wants a shared DR session with Joseph. He talked about doing a shared DR earlier. with Chemo and T-Core. Now he's wanting to do one with Joseph. He's saying that he's funnier than anyone else in the whole house. So why not get him in there that he could have all kinds of fun with a joint DR session, all that. I'm just starting to get a feeling Quinn has a checklist, a bucket list, so to speak, of all the things as a super fan that he wants to do while he's inside the Big Brother house to make his legacy concrete, so to speak. He wants to have a big move in the house. He wants to have a showmance. I'm sure he wants to have a huge betrayal. He wants to have a joint DR session with someone else. Quinn just has his checklist of all the things he wants to do while he's in here, and one of them is a joint DR session. So he's going to get it with someone. Production better just go ahead and get it over with, because he's going to be pushing it otherwise for the rest of the season until it happens. But yeah, he's wanting to go in and have a joint DR and do have some fun inside the diary room. We'll see if production lets him or not. And then finally, we've got Mackenzie and Joseph are the last two people up, as far as I know. They're talking about what an experience it is being in the house, win or lose, however it goes. They've enjoyed just being in the house, getting the chance to do it. It is cool. I empathize completely with them. Something so few of us get to do, and they're just reflecting on the fact that regardless of how it turns out, they've got to play the game of Big Brother and stay in this Big Brother house. So they're excited about that. Mackenzie is vocalizing some concerns, saying, the problem isn't win or lose inside the house. It's that once I get out of the house, she's saying, my life is just I don't know what I'm going to do. That I've got my family, but I basically have my family and a car payment. Maybe my job. I think I can come back to my job, but just my whole life's ahead of me. I don't know how I want to do it, what I want to do, everything else. So Mackenzie's certainly looking at the idea that she could be going home this evening, and that this journey could end, and then she'll have to go back to the real world, as we all eventually have to do. But she's thinking about that, vocalizing a little bit with Joseph. So there you have it, guys. No one up incredibly late, including myself. So if they got in the middle of the night, I'm sorry I missed that conversation. And I don't think they did. Everyone in bed by, I don't know, midnight 30, 1 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. Everyone getting ready for tonight's vote. More importantly, getting ready for tonight's competition. Wall comp or not, it should be a great vote, because we don't know for certain. My predictions: if Mackenzie is on the block, I think Mackenzie goes home. If she is not on the block, if it is Cedric versus Rubina, do Chemo and T-Core and a few others pull a trigger, send Cedric out the door, save Rubina? I'm guessing no. I'm guessing people get cold feet at the last second. Cedric survives. Rubina goes home. Tucker goes on a rampage after that. We'll find out. It should be a fun vote to watch this evening, because unlike some weeks, nothing's guaranteed this evening. That'll be fun. The HOH comp should be fun. I don't know if we'll get to see it live. If it's an endurance competition, hopefully we at least get to see the first part of it. We'll see. But until then, guys, enjoy y'all's Thursday night. Enjoy a live episode of Big Brother, and see just how exquisite Julie Chen actually looks. I move on to some new shtick, guys. But yeah, tonight's episode will be a lot of fun. I'll be back tomorrow morning to let y'all know everything that happened on the episode, the HOH. Hopefully we'll have an HOH by then. Maybe not. If it's a 15-hour wall competition, as Cedric predicts, maybe not. But until then, guys, y'all have a great one. Great Thursday, and I'll talk to y'all tomorrow morning. SKD 143. Cheers, my friends. Bye.